What is going on, everyone? How's the pandemic working out for you? I hope you're all staying healthy and we get through this. We're living through some history right now. In an effort to stay normal, let's talk about worst cities. Whenever I do a list about cities or towns, I get a good amount of people leaving comments or emails saying they think that their town should have made the list. Good or bad, they always feel like their hometown was better or worse than what's in the video. We compiled over 70 suggestions in the last year alone, and we started doing some research on most of them. Some of them, there's no way they're going to make the list of worst. You know, they've had like 2 assaults and a car got stolen in the last year and they think it's the crime wave. You always get those. These are places that have never been in our videos and we've never discussed them. At least I don't think we have. We've done over 300 videos. It's hard to remember everything. But after we did all our research, we came to the conclusion that there's a lot of bad cities and towns in this country. Like... Number 10, Mansfield, Ohio. Mansfield is a city in Ohio located midway between Columbus and Cleveland, and it's also the filming location of The Shawshank Redemption, one of my favorite all-time movies. Here's the Ohio State Reformatory where it was filmed. Mansfield has 46,000 residents, but it's lost about 3% from 2010 to 2019. At its peak in the 1970s, they had over 55,000 residents. Now, I find it strange that this place has some real negative stats. It's a nice place. It's well-maintained in most places. Sure, they have some run-down, boarded-up homes in the downtown residential area, but for the most part, the suburbs and the rest of the place looks decent. But here's the rub. The unemployment rate currently is 5.6%, and 48% of those people are working what would be considered decent jobs. Everyone else has subpar jobs. 25% of the city live in poverty. Like most of Ohio, it used to have industrial type work, but that all dried up in the late 70s, early 80s. The GM factory closed its doors not too long ago, leading to even more job losses. And as we've learned many times, when human beings don't have a place to go for work, they don't have any money, and then they start committing crimes. It's also had a surge in crime from 2012 to 2018. The violent crimes rose 39%. So yes, Carrie Thunderbird was right. Mansfield, Ohio sucks. Number 9, Arvin, California. There are 3 cities in the Bakersfield metro area that are considered to be some of the worst in the nation. Arvin sucks the most. It's the sort of place you move to when you've given up on living in a nice environment. With over 1,000 violent crimes for every 100,000 residents, Arvin is the most dangerous city in the Bakersfield metro area. About 28% of this small community live below the poverty line, and as one guy put it in a video, some nights in Arvin, people eat quesadillas for dinner without the cheese. You know you're in bad shape when people consider you as a bad part of Bakersfield. Bakersfield is nothing spectacular. The median home value, for instance, show you how bad off this place is about $132,000, but you can get a decent looking one for about $250,000. That's in California. Mississippi, you can do it all day long just about any place. California, that's next to impossible. That's how bad Arvin sucks. Number 8, Arlington, Texas. Arlington is a city in the central region of the Rio Grande Valley in South Texas, about 30 miles from the coast of the Gulf of Mexico. In 1904, Lon C. Hill envisioned the Rio Grande as a commercial waterway. He named the town he founded on the north bank after the city of Harlingen in the Netherlands. The town's post office was established that year, and the first school had 15 students in 1905. It was near the Hill home, which was the first residence built in Harlingen. Harlingen has about 65,000 residents, and about 56% of them work full-time jobs. Everybody else is part-time or unemployed. 30% of this city live under the poverty line. The crime isn't the worst in the country, but it's not good. The unemployment and housing are horrible. If you move here looking for work, you better be okay with standing in lines. Not for jobs, they don't have any. You'll be standing in line for unemployment, you'll be standing in line for the food stamps, and then on Tuesday you'll be selling blood. There's usually a line there too. This is a hot city with little or no rainfall all through the year, but they're still dealing with some flooding, oddly enough. It's also one of the 3 cities where 2,000 immigrants were released in 2019, putting pressure on the city to help them. So, I mean, they had enough problems already, but now they had this influx of a couple hundred to 1,000 people. There's 2,000 amongst 3 cities, so they probably got like 750, who knows? But yeah, it was rough on them. Number 7, West New York, New Jersey. Yeah, they've got a place called New York in New Jersey. I've always gotten the feeling that this New Jersey town calls itself West New York in hopes people won't realize they're actually in New Jersey. West New York has nearly 53,000 residents, and it grew by 6.6% from 2010 to 2018, so they're actually growing. Almost 60% of the people are working full full-time jobs, which is good, but about 23% are living in poverty. This city is dirty. The parks are kind of gross, and the median commute time is about 39 minutes. In a strange twist, they don't have terrible crime. They do have an extremely high cost of living, for this place especially, and Area Vibes ranks their schools with a big fat F as in Philadelphia. This place gets a lot of the cost of living from being so close to New York City. It's like overflow from them. I think you're paying far too much for what you're getting in West New York. Number 6. Cicero, Illinois. Cicero is a suburb of Chicago that was known as Hawthorne back in the mid-1800s. Originally, Cicero Township occupied an area that's about 6 times the size of what it is today. Weak political leadership resulted in cities like Oak Park and Austin being annexed into the city of Chicago. What's strange about this one is, when someone first brought it up, I started reading about it in January, and an interesting case was happening there where a girl had vanished from her home. A couple hours later, 2 dudes were seen on the Ring doorbell entering the house. They stole a bunch of stuff. They were using her keys. This was January 1st. They still don't know who those dudes are, and they have clear pictures of them, and they don't know where she is. Kind of strange. But I got all into that one, and there's been no updates. Kind of bummed me out. Cicero has 81,000 residents, but it fell 3% from 2010 to 2018. 2/3 of the people here are working. Only 2/3. Just under 24% of the residents are living in poverty. The median commute time is about 31 minutes. Cicero is known for being Al Capone's playground back in the 1920s, and since then the city has fought the nickname and crime. In 1999, the city even voted to make gang members leave within 60 days or face a daily fine of $500. Now, I'm shocked the gang members didn't leave. We all know they don't mind committing felonies on a daily basis, but they draw the line at city ordinances. They still have gangs, and they have a poverty level that's 46% higher than the national average. Number 5. Belle, Meade, Texas. Belle, Meade is a small city in the Waco, Texas metro area in between Dallas and Austin. The word Belle Meade means beautiful autumn valley, and it was a name given to the region by its native inhabitants way back in the day. The whole beautiful autumn valley thing is long gone. This place sucks. The city has some of the highest crime rates anywhere in the country. There were 2,300 violent crimes for every 100,000 residents in 2018, 6 times higher than the national average. Additionally, there were 6,500 property crimes for every 100,000 residents in Belle Meade, more than double the national average. They only have about 10,000 residents, and a quarter of them are living in poverty. The area's high crime is suppressing the property values. The typical home in Belle Meade is worth about $70,000. That's far less than the national average home value of $193,000. If a friend ever suggests going here for like dinner or drinks or to bury a problem in the desert, they're not your friend. Don't go. Number 4. Fort Valley, Georgia. Fort Valley is one of the poorest cities in Georgia and the United States for that matter. People suffering from severe depression often come here to feel better about themselves. Blues musicians travel here for inspiration. The city's 38.3% poverty rate is more than double both the state of Georgia and the national poverty rate of 16.9% and 14.6% respectively. Widespread poverty is due in large part to not having any jobs. It's funny how that works out. According to the U.S. Census, about 9.5% of the city's workers have been unemployed in the last 5 years. That's double the national average. The number of people working in the city fell a staggering 21% in the last half decade. The good news is you could buy a home for under $100,000. That's great if you don't mind the odds of being pretty high that you'll be the victim of a violent crime within a year. Like I said, the poverty level here is 38.3%. Kind of harsh. Number 3, Adelanto, California. I watched a couple promotional videos about this place, and I have to tell you, they're pretty lame, and they made me sort of not want to ever live here. There's another reason I don't want to live here. I've been there. The place sucks. This town could be an entry on a fail compilation video on YouTube. It is in the California desert right next to Victorville, which isn't much better. They're actually thinking about building a train from Vegas to Victorville so people from Los Angeles can go back and forth. They want you to drive your car, catch the train, go to Vegas. There's one problem. Actually, there's several problems in this, but one main one. When you get back to your car after your long weekend of drinking and partying, it's probably not going to be there. The crime rate here is pretty high, especially when it comes to theft. The poverty rate in Adelanto is 39%, and that cracks the highest 50 cities in the country. Adelanto residents also face an average daily commute of more than 45 minutes. 45 minutes, that sucks. That's 15 minutes longer than the national average. They're not even downtown like LA or San Francisco, and they're spending 45 minutes on the road. It's open desert. They're just so far away from everything, you just got to travel to get your job. Lengthy commutes can lead to considerable stress and, basically takes away from your whole quality of life. I hate commuting. It's horrible. It's like wasted time. Number 2, Newburgh, New York. Newburgh is the type of place you end up when karma has finally caught up with you. This is a very unappealing place to live for humans and animals alike. If you drive through this city, you can see it's in desperate need of a makeover that includes a bulldozer driven by a blind man. This is the only city in New York, outside of New York City, to rank among the worst cities to live in the country. Newburgh is doing an outstanding job growing their extremely high violent crime rate of 1,236 reported incidents for every 100,000 residents. More than 3 times the U.S. violent crime rate. Newburgh residents are broke. The city's median household income is $36,000 a year, if you're even working. A lot of people there aren't working. The ones that are working, on average, are making $20,000 lower than the U.S. average. This relatively low income is made even more challenging by the fact that Newburgh's cost of living is about 18% higher than the national average. How does that happen? Like I've said before, this is one of those places that sucks, but they charge you like it doesn't. And number 1, Desert Hot Springs, California. Desert Hot Springs is one of 2 cities within the San Bernardino metro area that rank among the worst cities to live in the country. This is a city that sprung up after World War II and was filled with people trying to get away from the big city life of Los Angeles. Desert Hot Springs became a tourist destination in the 1950s because of its natural hot springs, and spas and hotels started springing up. The city was popular with the snowbird types like its neighbor Palm Springs. The only difference is Palm Springs is where the rich snowbirds went, and Desert Hot Springs became a landing spot for snowbirds on a budget. These days, Palm Springs has sort of fallen from its past glory days, but it's still nowhere near as bad as Desert Hot Springs. Like other communities in this metro area, Desert Hot Springs is dangerous. There are 1,017 violent crimes in the city for every 100,000 residents in 2018. That's well above the national average. The typical household in Desert Hot Springs earns $34,000 a year, well below the national average of $57,000. Lower incomes in poor areas tend to be somewhat offset by low cost of living. Not in Desert Hot Springs. It's 3.5% more expensive here than the national average. Yeah, it sucks to live in Desert Hot Springs. And on top of it, it is blistering hot all the time, and the air quality is in the toilet pretty much every day of the year. Alright, so that is the worst cities in the United States. The viewer suggested ones, I guess. I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you got some information out of it. If you guys like what we're doing here, please feel free to subscribe, share it on your social media, give the video a big thumbs up. Everybody have a great day. Be nice to each other.